Welcome to this episode of my podcast. My name is Kalsoom, and I specialize in training medical professionals how to get the score they need in IELTS or OET so that they can get their dream job, take their career to the next level, and start living their best life with their families by providing them with bigger and better opportunities. Before I start with the main topic for this week's episode, I just want to make you aware of how you can use this podcast to your maximum advantage. This is no ordinary podcast. You can use this podcast by one, simply listening to the podcast to get some advice that will help you in your IELTS or OET preparation. Number two, actively listening to this podcast to improve your listening skills. I try to keep it short. I know you guys are very busy people, but you can use it for focused listening practice. So you can use the show notes, which is a complete transcript of each episode. You can read the episode as you listen and analyze the language, learn new words or phrases, practice pronunciation and intonation. Number three, also included in the show notes are some comprehension style questions that you can use by reading the transcript, using your skimming and scanning techniques to answer the questions. Answers are provided at the end, but you can also check your answers by listening to the podcast. Number four, you can use it as a listening test and answer the same questions while listening. And number five, I also include a brief analysis of some useful words or phrases that I have used in the podcast, which you can learn. So it's up to you how you would like to use this tool. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast with your colleagues and social media so that more people can benefit from it too.
Hi, welcome to this episode of my podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about how to reverse engineer your preparation. So how to work backwards, basically. Sounds a bit crazy, but trust me, it will really help you to improve and learn in a completely different way than, the normal preparation techniques that you'll find. But before we talk about that, I just want to remind you of all the amazing links I have in the show notes that you can take advantage of. First of all, there's my email address. If you ever need to ask any questions, any help, any advice, you want more information about my OET training, my membership training, you can ask me. My email is there. There is also a link to the OET Success membership training, where you have access to daily lessons, live lessons, and my OET course, and much, much, much more, so that you can access that. There's also a video that shows you inside the membership training. I show you exactly how it works, what it looks like, how the feedback works, the lessons, everything. So you can watch that there. There's also a link to my free OET Success training, where I show you exactly what you should be doing to prepare for the test every day. The things that you should be doing every single day to improve all the skills, including grammar, pronunciation, vocabulary building, all that stuff. So that's completely free training. That's there. Have I missed anything out? Yes, I have. My OET Facebook group. My free OET Facebook group. I've now started to do free weekly Q&As in the OET group. And you can come along to that and ask any questions you have about your preparation. If you need any help, just come along and ask questions. I'm there for an hour, and you can pick my brains. So all the links are in the show notes. Okay, so on to this episode. What do I mean about working backwards? What do I mean by reverse engineering your preparation? So this is relevant for IELTS and OET, and it can be done for all of the tests. So the listening, the reading, the writing, and the speaking. So let's look at the listening and the reading first. What do I mean by reverse engineering your preparation? So what I mean is, normal preparation is you look at the questions, you do the questions, you answer the questions, and then you look at the answers and you check your answers. Reverse engineering is basically doing it all backwards, starting at the end. So starting with the answers. So look at the answers first, then look at the questions and the text or the audio in case of the listening test. So work backwards. Work out why the answer is the correct answer and why, in the case of, say, for example, multiple choice questions, why are the other options wrong? Look at why it's the right answer, look at the vocabulary, look at the grammar, and what do you learn? What do you learn about the questions and the answers, and how the questions are constructed? Yeah, it's really, really important to do this type of analysis work. And most students do not do this because they just can't be bothered. They think the only way to practice, the only way to improve is just to keep doing test after test after test, in their spare time. Just, going through old papers, old test papers, old test questions. And yes, that is a big part of your preparation and should be a big part of your preparation. But sometimes you really need to change your outlook. You need to change your focus, to change your approach of how you prepare and how you look at the test and how you look at the questions. And this is a really good way of doing that. Looking at how the questions are constructed by looking at the answers, doing it all backwards and looking at what you learn and really consciously looking at, what are you learning from this, and writing it down, actually writing it down. What do you learn about vocabulary, grammar, and other things like that, depending on, whether you're doing the reading or the listening. Yeah. Go back and look at the text, or go back and, listen to the audio again with the answers in front of you, with the questions and everything, and just look at how it all links in. Yeah. With the speaking for OET, we'll look at the speaking first for OET. Try to find some model role plays, either written or video. So in some textbooks, you can actually find sample role plays, like the actual dialogue written out. And there's some YouTube videos as well. Make sure, please, that you are looking at authentic OET role plays that are actually by OET. There's quite a few. Look at the role play cards and analyze how the dialogue has been structured. We've been doing this recently in my membership training. We looked at a model role play dialogue, the actual dialogue between the doctor and the patient. And we analyzed the vocabulary, the phrases, the structure of the dialogue. And we looked at how the dialogue corresponded with the marking criteria and how it ticked all the boxes in the marking criteria. How empathy was shown. We looked at fluency, pronunciation, tone, intonation, how to persuade the patient, what kind of wording was used, how can you reassure a patient without always saying, let me reassure you, I assure you, or let me reassure you. I understand how there's different ways of reassuring a patient other than saying, let me reassure you. So we looked at all these subtle, differences and vocabulary and phrases that you can use that work and demonstrate your range of language, of vocabulary and things like that. So by doing that, again, you need to ask yourself, what do you learn by looking at these model answers? And, I'm always, this is the right way to look at model answers. When we look at model answers for writing, some students think that, this is the only way to write the answer for the essay, or for, if it's OET, then the letter. It's not. It's just one way. And the same goes for the speaking. You could have 10 students in front of you that all get the score that they need, whether it's a 7.5 or B, or whatever the score is that you need. And all of their responses could be completely different. So when you're looking at model answers, always keep that in mind, that this is just one way of answering the question or doing the dialogue or whatever. So moving on to writing. So this is for OET, writing. Look at the case notes and then look at the model letter. And again, we've been doing this a lot in the membership group. Analyze the structure of the letter, the structure of the paragraphs. Look at how the case notes have been combined. Look at how the case notes have been, how they've been selected and how they've been inserted into the paragraphs. How have they been ordered? Which ones have been combined and how have they been combined? What language has been used to combine the case notes? Look at the language, look at the phrases, look at the things like conjunctions, linking words. How have they taken those case notes and transformed them into grammatical, complete sentences? Concisely, what language has been used, what words have been used to make the letter concise, because that's a big part of OET writing, in the letter writing, is conveying the information concisely in a letter. So, there are words that can do the same job as, many words. What are those words? What do you learn from that model letter? What can you extract from that model letter? Again, write it down so you remember it, and you can take that forward into your own writing next time that you write a letter. Yeah. The more you keep exposing yourself to these model answers and looking at the answers, in case of reading and listening, you are training yourself to that language, that way of speaking, that level. You're constantly exposing yourself to it. And if you keep doing it, in the case of the writing, if you keep exposing yourself to that kind of language and structure and all the things that I've just spoken about, the more it will just become something that you're used to, and you'll find that you will then replicate that. I don't mean copy, never copy any writing or memorize any letters or structures or things like that, but you will memorize certain things that you can use in any type of letter. And the same goes for IELTS essays as well. Words and phrases, and maybe there's a sentence that can be used in any type of OET letter. And you can write that down and make sure that you use it within the correct context of the letter that you're writing, obviously, in other letters that you write. So moving on then to IELTS and speaking. Again, look at the questions. So find speaking role plays on YouTube. Again, make sure they are proper, authentic British Council role plays that you watch. Please don't watch any other ones. Look at the questions, analyze the response that was given, the vocabulary, the structure, what was good about it? What made it stand out? What were you impressed by? Look at the ideas. Were they simple ideas? And they probably are. The best role plays are the ones where the ideas are really simple, and the speaker, the candidate, the student has just spoken about it very simply, without complicated vocabulary and structures and things like that. Look at the fluency. Look at the intonation, the pronunciation. Yeah, what can you learn from it? What can you take from it and adopt yourself in your speaking? What impressed you? Why was it good? Why did it get a 7.5 or an 8? What was good about it? Look at the marking criteria. You know, score it yourself, looking at the marking criteria. And, you know, OET students could do exactly the same thing as well. For IELTS writing, analyze the question and look at how the essay answers the question, because that's one of the biggest problems when it comes to IELTS essay writing, is especially task 2, students don't actually answer the question. They see the topic and they just go off just talking about the topic. They don't actually answer the question. So how does the essay answer the question? Look at the paragraph structure and the structure of the ideas. You know, look at the, you know, how is the paragraph structured in terms of the topic sentence, the explanation, the examples. You know, how does the writer expand on the ideas that they give? How is the points expanded on? How is the answer developed? And ultimately, how does it answer the question? Yeah, again, look at the grammar, the vocabulary, and what impresses you. What can you learn? Yeah. So the whole idea behind this is, you know, what can you extract? What new learnings can you extract? You know, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Yeah, if you do this enough, you start seeing what works and what doesn't, and you build up good vocabulary, phrases, good grammar, good ideas, structures, and you also build up good analyzing techniques. And it also adds another dimension to your preparation, and it gives you another method of preparing that's different to the normal way of just, you know, sitting down with the question paper, doing the questions, checking the answers. You know, it just gives you another way of looking at things from a different angle. And sometimes that can just be quite refreshing in your preparation. Sometimes it's nice to mix things up a bit and do things a bit differently. And especially if there is so much benefit in doing so. You know, it's not just changing it for the sake of changing it. You are actually learning something from it. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. And, you know, especially if you try these methods, again, you know, make sure you're doing this regularly as part of your preparation. Try to incorporate it into your preparation regularly. And that's when you'll really see the benefit. That's when you'll really build up new learnings. Yeah. Let me know how it helped you. Like I've said, I've been doing this with my students in the OET Success Membership, and they found it really useful. So let me know how you get on. Again, you know, my email is in the show notes, so you can always contact me. I hope you found that useful. So until the next episode, take care and keep up with the good work.
I really hope you have found this episode useful. Please let me know if you have. I would love to get your feedback, and if there is something you would like me to do an episode on for IELTS or for OET, please just let me know. The details on how you can contact me are in the show notes of this episode. And remember, nothing changes if nothing changes. If you are not willing to change or implement advice and you keep doing the same thing, you will keep getting the same results again and again. Real progress, real improvement comes when you push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast with your colleagues and on your social media so that more people can benefit too. Take care and keep working hard.